Hello, Googleization Nation. Welcome to Better Leaders, Better Workplaces, a GGG Unleashed podcast with thought leader Vivian Blade. I'm Ira Wolf.
And I'm Jason Cochran. In each of Vivian's episodes, we'll cover the latest trends and emerging practices around creating resilient workplaces. Let's begin.
Hello, and welcome back to GGG Unleashed, Better Leaders, Better Workplaces. I'm Vivian Blade, President and CEO of Experts in Growth Leadership Consulting and a recognized leadership and resilience thought leader. On this podcast, you'll get the latest insights and proven strategies to help you solve the pressing turnover, burnout, and workplace culture challenges your company is struggling with right now. So if you're an HR leader or a business leader, you don't want to miss an episode. Your workforce, your workplace, and everything about work today are evolving. With the war on talent and shrinking availability of workers continuing, and the accelerated pace of technology advancements and how that is impacting your business, I know with all of that, you're always looking for creative ways to fill your talent needs. Voluntary employee turnover is hard on your bottom line. In fact, to replace an employee can cost as much as 3 to 4 times that position's salary. Let's say you're replacing a person who makes $65,000 a year. Filling that role could cost you as much as $260,000. That should get your attention. Retaining talent is your best and most cost-efficient solution. Yet the approaches many of you are using are no longer effective. Reengineering your approach to retaining talent is our focus in this episode. And this is one of the 5 future of work priorities I've been elevating focus around. There are a couple of realities I want to bring your attention to for the sake of this discussion. First, talent looks different than it did before. Deloitte's Forces of Change, the Future of Work study, demonstrates that more and more of your talent will be off campus, which have been accelerated by the remote work trends post-COVID, and off balance sheet. The traditional full-time and the office employee is becoming a lower percentage of your workforce, and many of those traditional employees are working remotely. You'll likely fill more of your roles with off-balance sheet talent like contractors or what Deloitte calls transactional remote workers. Think Lyft, Uber, DoorDash, Instacart, Upwork, and Fiverr even. While you don't have the traditional employer-employee relationship, these off-balance sheet resources are on the front line of your business, interfacing directly with your customers day in and day out. Now, in recent years, we've become more aware of the fact that employee or talent experience impacts the customer experience. People representing your company, they wear their experiences on their sleeves. It is our human nature. If I'm treated well, I'm doing meaningful work, and I feel valued, I'll take good care of your customers. If my experience is mediocre or poor, that will show in my interactions with your customers. You can only hold a fake smile for so long. Which brings me to my second point. Experience matters. While your workforce and workplace are changing rapidly, most organizations are still focused on the traditional employee and the traditional employee lifecycle experience. In fact, in my workshops, I like to use a poll to get a feel for how organizations are keeping up with these changes in their experience design. I consistently find that organizations are behind, still focused on the traditional lifecycle experience. You're familiar with the stages: attract, recruit, onboard, retain, and separate, or something like that you all may go by. There's this linear focus on company processes that fails to recognize and address the changing dynamics of the future of work. Instead, I invite you to consider a different model that takes into account all types of talent, shifting workplace dynamics, and creates a consistent, human-centric talent lifecycle experience. There are 6 stages that represent this lifecycle experience: cultivate, connect, care, contribute, close, and champion. Now, I want you to keep in mind that these stages interplay across the talent experience. It's not necessarily linear. Let's begin with cultivate. Cultivating talent begins long before you have a job opening or release a job posting. People are looking to work for and with organizations who add value in meaningful ways, whose core values and purpose align and do good in the community, and who have a good reputation. You want talent partners who are the same. You cultivate direct connections and indirectly a desire to do business with you. The second stage is connect. We all learned from having to be healthy at home during COVID that we are people. Maslow demonstrated in the hierarchy of needs that we have an innate need for community and belonging. We need to feel connected. The workplace is no exception. Whether in the office, working remotely, or an off-balance sheet contractor, every individual needs to be and to feel connected to your organizational purpose and to the community within your organization. Foster relationship building. Help employees understand how their role contributes to the purpose and outcomes your organization is trying to achieve. And build a culture of community and belonging. The third stage is care. Not many of us like to think about the word care or love when we think about our workplaces. Gallup's engagement research has long demonstrated that among the top drivers of engagement is that my boss cares about me and I have friends at work. If we want to build workplaces and organizations where people love to work and feel valued, that's my goal, my purpose in my work and in my life, you have to care. You want to care. How do we care for people as a whole person? How do we care for them and respect and value them as human beings? People bring their whole selves to work with everything in life that they're dealing with. We don't just check our personal lives or personalities at the door. Ensure each person feels seen and included. Gallup reminds us that knowing that people are respected as individuals at work can have a significant impact on how they view their overall lives. When there is stability in a person's life, they can have a greater presence in their work. Caring helps us to see after the well-being of each other. The next stage is contribute. People want to come to work and contribute in meaningful ways. They want to do good work. I delivered a workshop during the HR Florida conference, and after my session, a gentleman spoke with me afterwards. We were talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and he said, I believe there is a level above self-actualization. It's not just about you. It's about your service. It's about giving back and what you do to help make other people in the world around you better. I thought that was so powerful. So what are we doing as an organization to help make the people that work with us better? Contribute includes investing in developing talent, ensuring they're in the right roles, regularly providing meaningful feedback, constructive feedback, and having career discussions that help people map out a meaningful career path for them. Close is the 5th stage. This means that there is honorable closure of employment of a project or a contractor relationship. There will be times when a relationship closes based on either the choice of the individual, the choice of the employer for whatever reason, or when the contract or the project ends. So how do we land that? Sometimes we slam the door behind them. How do we have a softer landing with that? Well, in most cases, we don't want to break relationships, build bad will. There may be boomerang talent that you want to return. Help people close with dignity and respect. We often think of separation as finality. It may be the end of an engagement, but people carry that experience with them long afterwards. The final stage is champion. No matter whether people are working for us today, worked for us yesterday, want to work for us tomorrow, we have to earn willing and eager advocacy across the life cycle. We want advocates out there who are champions of our organization and our brand. It affects not only you as an employer, it affects the perceptions of customers and potential customers. People are talking about their experience with your organization on social media and on sites like Glassdoor. What do they have to say? If you're intentional about a consistent human-centric lifecycle experience across the other stages, you can earn their ongoing loyalty and advocacy. Those are your 6 stages of human-centric talent lifecycle experience. Cultivate, connect, care, contribute, close, and champion. Build this type of culture where talent can genuinely say, "This is an organization I love to work for or with, and I feel valued." Your ROI is lower turnover, higher engagement and retention, better morale, higher productivity, and bottom line, enhanced profitability. Now, how closely or not does this reflect your organization? You can't afford to keep doing what you've been doing. So how do you begin to re-engineer your talent lifecycle experience from the traditional company process-oriented stages to this transformational human-centric framework? I'm going to briefly walk you through a 5-step process. First, baseline where you are today. Identify what your current lifecycle experience consists of. Draw out the stages so you can visualize what you do today. Then get some feedback and collect some data on the current experience. Secondly, consider your talent composition and who you are designing for. Involve each type of talent in the design process. It won't be a one-size-fits-all. Your third step is to envision what you want the future experience to be like. Make sure you design with integration of these stages in mind. Step number 4 is to inventory what you are doing today that supports your vision and what needs some re-engineering. Take a look at your formal and informal practices, those processes, policies, and the behaviors that you're seeing. And step 5, choose a starting point. Start with some low-hanging fruit so that you begin to build traction with some quick wins. Expectations among your talent have changed. Are you keeping up? If you want to win at this war on talent, you've got to get in the game. Now, HR, I'm calling on you to lead the call to re-engineer talent lifecycle experience in your organization. Business leaders, I'm calling on you to champion, to partner, and to resource this strategic priority. Before we wrap up today, I have a couple of resources for you. One is a talent lifecycle experience audit. Explore with this audit where some areas of opportunity are for your organization. Secondly, join me on September 21st, 2023 for a deeper discussion on this topic of re-engineering talent retention with Michelle Koch, former Senior Vice President, Chief Culture and People Development Officer with Republic Bank and Trust Company. Michelle's going to pull back the curtain on some of the culture and retention strategies they used that really worked. And you'll have a chance to ask Michelle your questions live. You can also listen to the previous podcast episodes with Michelle. Check out the show notes for links to those resources. Thanks so much for joining me today. I work with organizations to build better leaders and better workplaces. Let's work together to enhance yours. And connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always sharing resources and generating conversations about the topics we talk about on this podcast. I'd love to hear from you. If you're ready to elevate your leadership or would like to bring an inspiring message to your conference or corporate event, let's have a conversation. I'm here to help.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in and learning how to develop better leaders and better workplaces. We'll be back next month with Vivian for another episode. But until then, you can access some of Vivian's resources by visiting her website, vivianblade.com. And remember, don't let the shift hit your plans.